Yo, how's it going, YouTube? Year One Blink here. You know what it is. Back with another new YouTube video. Today we got Destiny 2 Revenant Act 1 stream. So we're gonna get into what's happening in Destiny 2 Revenant. There's a live stream. You get an exclusive emblem. I was able to watch the last 15 minutes of the stream to actually get that emblem, so I'm really happy about it. But yeah, I'm really liking this contrast of colors. We got the blue and the red going together. Looks like a crazy dungeon boss or something. Ooh, I'm pretty excited, guys. It has like 4 arms. Looks pretty insane. Actually making some pizza, so I gotta watch my pizza at the same time. Got some new Yu-Gi-Oh videos. Fortnite birthday wins. Yu-Gi-Oh just wrecking against Max C, getting to master ranks and stuff. All that stuff, guys. Go check it out. Oh, we've been playing the finals too. So this game's not just Destiny, guys. It's everything. We play all video games. We've been playing Pokemon, all that.
Alrighty.
All right, let's see what this is all about.
Welcome, good day, good evening, good time zone
Turn
to you all, and welcome back. We're coming to you live here from beautiful Bungie HQ in Bellevue, Washington. My name is Andy, and I work on the social media team here at Bungie, and today we're thrilled to get to welcome all of you into a very special stream, talking a little bit about what's to come with Act 1 of episode Revenant, launching just next week on October 8th, and also we're going to go ahead and take a little bit more of a look further down the road and talk a little bit more about Codename Frontiers. But worry not, just like always, you don't have to listen to just me tell you all about it. We have some amazing folks.
Got some people here. Let's see who's our people.
Team here to go ahead and talk through it as well. And I say there's no time like the present. Let's introduce our cast of characters so we can go ahead and
eyes all twitching.
Starting with someone that you may know if you've tuned into our Into the Light streams in the past.
Yeah, my eyes all twitching. My right one.
Senior narrative designer here at Bungie. Jerome, how's it going?
It's great. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, I've seen him before for sure.
Back again for the folks that
I think
may
he's
not
more
have
about
seen
the
you
narrative,
on the show before, or had a chance to go ahead and check out the Into the Light streams. Can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Sure. I'm a writer on our fantastic writing team, so that means dialogue, tending to the garden that is our lore,
Jerome
and doing
Vernich.
UI UX strings.
The fun stuff. So you're the blank space filler.
That's right. That's right. Press X. That's me.
Okay, I hold down E personally, but
Press
okay,
X,
we can
that's not my department.
That's all right. You know, we're here we're crossplay friendly. It's okay. And then also sitting just next to him, someone who is joining us now in front of the camera, previously a member of our behind-the-scenes fire team, who does so much of our heavy lifting. The one and only Clayton Kisko, staff designer here at Bungie. Clayton, welcome.
Thanks for having me. How you doing?
Doing well, thank you. And
Well,
hey,
he
second
looks like
first,
the
same as the
Whitney.
first. Can you tell the folks at home a little bit about who you are and what you do here at Bungie?
Yeah, so I'm a staff designer here, and I work primarily within
I'm
the
just
activities department. So I'm
guy
in charge
looks
of
like
building
a
the skeleton and framework
very
of the activity,
nice,
developing
young-looking
the
man.
encounters and the boss fights as well, and building that amazing roller coaster that you tend to go on as a
We've been
player.
writing it for a while. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Given that today's Tuesday and Reset Day, I have plenty to dive into. Thanks to you and yours. So thank you a ton, Clayton.
Yeah.
And sitting just next to him, someone that needs no introduction, but will still risk it anyway, just to make sure everyone's all caught up.
Risk it
one
for
and
the
only
biscuit.
senior
Oh,
star
this guy,
Sandbox
he's our
athlete here at
weapons
Bungie,
dude
the one and only Mr.
that
Chris
gives us
Proctor.
all our
Chris, how's it
broken
going?
perks.
Good, thanks, Andy.
All the god rolls.
Anyone who may not have
We
seen
call
you
him
on
the
Into
God
Light
roll
streams in
guy.
the past, or heard you in podcasts around the community, can you tell us just a little bit about who you are and what you do here?
Yeah, so I'm Chris Proctor, Sandbox Craft Lead on Destiny 2 here at Bungie.
Chris Godroll
I work
Proctor.
with the rest of the Sandbox team and Destiny leadership, other teams, to make sure that we're always hitting that gameplay quality bar that Bungie is renowned for. I occasionally also make a few things for the game.
Yeah, it's not an easy job, but we thank you all for doing it. And also, I want to note, chat's calling you out.
It is
immediately.
not an
You're
easy
doing well
job.
already. So, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. Now, we're going to go ahead and dive into episode Revenant, which again is launching just next week on October 8th. But before we go ahead and dive into that,
Ooh, we
Jerome,
get to see
we're
it.
on the verge now in the last week.
Gotta go
of
see my
completing
pizza, though. Hold on,
episode
guys.
Echoes. Can you tell us a little bit about the story that got us to
Make
where
sure
we
we
are
ain't
now?
causing no
Sure,
fires.
absolutely. Well, let's
Getting
start with
cooked
the
pretty
death of
good.
the
It's
witness,
almost done.
who
That
we
guy.
thoroughly destroyed,
Absolutely.
and his giant, smoky, billowing
How long does
head
it go in there for?
dissipated
Yeah.
into a mist of darkness, which then coalesced with the Traveler's Light,
Yeah.
right, crystallizing
dangerous.
into the Echoes,
Yeah.
which fell into the Soul System. One of those fell, of course, to Maya Sundaresh, which we know from episode 1.
Yeah.
And it fundamentally changed how the Vex saw themselves. And now we're going to get the same treatment with the Scorn, because one of the Echoes will be falling to Fikrul,
Yes.
leader of the undead Elixni army.
Oh, so it's different echoes,
and
huh?
similarly, that Echo is going to prompt the Scorn to evolve. to see themselves in a new way and to fundamentally change.
This season better be better than last.
What they are. And I won't spoil anything. I'll let players discover that for themselves. But suffice it to say, Fickrell is evolving his army, he's growing his army, and in order to build Scorn armies, you need a bunch of corpses.
Interesting.
Which is not necessarily in the best interest of the Elixni. So, we will be teaming up.
Gotta get those corpses.
With, Mithrax.
Speaking of Fickrell, we see him right here as well now.
Yes.
We're taking a look at the new art.
So this is the new bad guy?
Revenant as well.
Fickrell?
Fickrell's gotten a bit of a glow up, I think.
Absolutely. This
got a glow up?
episode is metal.
Yeah.
And I think that shows it right there. That accurately depicts the tone of the season.
Yeah.
It's kind of sick, though.
It's not messing around. I will say we won't watch the trailer
It's
today,
crazy.
but when folks see the trailer, you're right. Metal is the right word to use.
You see
so much
the
slaying.
you can see the Guardians down there. The armor you get like
But
hats.
the Elixni, of course,
more like
want to
classy
prevent
hats
this,
and
so we'll be
stuff.
teaming up with Mithrax, the Kell of House Light, and his
kinda
daughter,
tight.
Ido, the adorable Ido.
Must be
whom I love.
protected at all costs.
Absolutely.
Thoroughly, yeah.
And she will be bringing her expertise in herbology and ancient Elixni lore to help us craft tonics to imbue us with the power that we need to battle this evolving
Imbue us
Scorn
with
army.
that power.
That is, thank you, by the way, for not only, now you've narrative directed
Man,
us
this
into our
pizza cooked
segue as
pretty
well, so thank you
freaking
very
fast.
much. Narrative design as well. And so I think we should go ahead and dive into a little bit of gameplay, starting over here with you, Clayton. So we just heard a little bit about some new tonics and everything. Can you tell us a little bit about where we are and what we're going to be doing here?
Tonics.
This is the new apothecary, I believe.
All right, let's see what
So we're
this
in the
tonic's all about,
apothecary
guys.
space, and Jerome
Tonic
was Just
capsule.
mentioning the tonics and potions that we'll be crafting. They come in two flavors. They
Crafting
come in combat
potions.
flavors, and they come in reward flavors.
Okay.
The combat flavors are going to enhance, or rather boost your artifact perks, specific ones.
Yeah.
Higher rarities of these tonics will boost multiple artifact perks, which is really great.
Dang,
Okay.
that's
And
pretty
then
OP.
on the reward side, we wanted to create a new or novel way to chase your gear and your
You guys
weapons
can
that you
see
love.
the
Yeah.
stuff
And we
that'll
took a
be
lot of
buffing.
inspiration from the success of Into the Light, where players got to attune to specific weapons. And so with your reward tonics, you'll be able to attune to specific weapons within the season.
Very nice.
They're not craftable in this season,
Okay.
which is important to note, but you will be able to target them, and they'll have enhanced perks.
Got it. Okay. So you'll be able to go ahead and
Exotic
chase down that
ones,
god roll you're
too.
looking so desperately for
Yeah.
with the help of this. But also, for the build crafters out there, they're going to have even more to dive into than maybe just the episode artifact and everything. These are going to go ahead and help just boost a lot of those traits, I guess, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So build crafters, make sure your appetites are whetted and ready. There's going to be plenty of stuff for you to go ahead and dive into. But we're going to go ahead also and dive into some of the meat and potatoes of today's stream, proverbially speaking.
The meat and
as we're on our way
potatoes.
Over to Onslaught. Clayton, I just want to go ahead and also start there. Onslaught's getting kind of a new revamp this episode as well.
Let's
You
go.
guys have
Onslaught's
left
coming back?
Very few, if
That was
any,
kinda
stones
hype. I
untouched
liked
this time
Onslaught.
around.
Correct. Yeah. And so, we heard players' feedback. They wanted to see us invest in Onslaught. We are coming out with a brand new Onslaught called Onslaught Salvation.
Yeah.
We're
Onslaught
going to have,
Salvation? What?
Brand 3 maps that you'll be
Interesting, yeah.
in there. You will have some new defenses. We'll have enemy factions that will be fighting into the theme of this episode. We'll have the Scorn. We'll have the Dark Cabal.
That's right.
A
Yeah,
bunch
yeah.
of other new stuff that we can get into.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll be diving into that here briefly. You can see our fire team is now on their way.
We're gonna be playing
we're on the way over
Onslaught?
as
What is
well.
this,
I heard a
Destiny
brief
2
mention
Into
of,
the
Our
Light?
friends in the Shadow Legion as well. Can you tell us what the Shadow Legion is doing here and why they might be in league with Fickrell, Jerome?
What? The Shadow Legion is still around?
are bumming. They are in utter disarray. Their leader has been slain, and they
The
are
witness is
grasping
dead.
to anyone who can keep them in
Yeah.
in power.
Yeah.
And Fickrell holds the most powerful artifact around now.
Got it.
So they will be doing his bidding, though it will be a tenuous alliance.
They're going with Fickrell's Riz just for right now, but that may not be the case later on.
That's right. We
Okay.
will do our best to stomp that out.
Thank you. All right,
Yeah.
fair enough. Much appreciated. All right, so now we are here. We're in Onslaught. We're on Widow's Court.
Widow's
Yeah.
Court Onslaught?
Few
What? That's
players
hype.
will recognize this map, and they'll also recognize some of the changes that we've done to accommodate for the slaying, the amounts of slaying that is necessary for an Onslaught activity.
Yeah, a quick.
Hold on,
quick
guys, we're
refresher
gonna
for the
pause
folks
this
at home
real
that may
quick.
not
I gotta
have
grab a
opened
pizza.
To Onslaught. There is
We're
the
back, we're
10
back, we're
level
back.
mode and the 50 level mode, isn't that correct?
Right, so Onslaught Salvation will also be coming with the 3 modes that they've had in the past, which is the playlist 10 wave mode, the normal 50-wave mode, and then we'll have our expert 50-wave mode. And the new thing about Onslaught Salvation, one of the new things, is that it will not be powered fixed like it was prior in Into the Light.
Oh, right.
Power enabled, so your armor and your weapons will matter even more.
Yeah.
It will be at the start more difficult, but you can, through getting better, more power, and grinding that artifact level, you'll be able to kind of outweigh that difficulty.
Be able to just go crazy.
Rely on some of the new defenses.
Yeah, I was going to say, we were just looking at a turret that maybe Guardians haven't seen since their days on the moon in D1. Can you tell us, what's going on? We got some new defenses, obviously.
We have some new defenses. So Ashley Baker is one of the tech designers we have. She's on the fire team right now, and she has helped us build these defenses, as well as other things in Onslaught.
Shout out to Ashley Baker. She's loaded.
Park with this rideable turret.
Yeah.
So it is kind of a standard rideable turret at first, but by upgrade 3, it's going to have more health, it's going to be dealing more damage, but it's also going to have scorching rounds come out of it.
Okay.
And what the cool thing about that is that if you have build crafting with fragments or what have you within scorching, that will play off that if you're the rider.
Very nice. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can go and really scorch everyone.
Everyone. Clumps of enemies, those annoying demolitionists that come in front of the ADU and scare the hell out of you.
Yeah, they do. That was my words, okay? They do scare that.
Yeah.
All right. So in the subject or in the topic of new defenses, so we're bringing back the turret from yesterdecade of Destiny, but also there's some other ones available as well. Can you tell us a little bit about maybe some new defenses that are on the way?
Yes. So the other one that we have is the Airstrike, which
will
the
have Airstrike
cannons when you purchase it. Or upgrade it, they'll be replenished there. And what that allows you to do is essentially mark anywhere on the ground. Yeah. And when an enemy or enemies run over it, a giant beam, it will come down from the sky and obliterate your enemies. Yeah. I'm going to keep a little bit of the secret for higher upgrades. I want to
that's fair.
Everything
That's fair.
But there's some really nice upgrades.
Nimbus liked that. We'll just go ahead and put that.
There you go.
Right? Yeah, exactly. And actually, so just to double check as well, with the airstrikes, it's not just you plant it and it fires. It actually has to wait for someone to kind of trigger that.
Waits for someone to come over. Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
Much like the tripwire, we are also updating for Onslaught Salvation. We've heard the feedback about the tripwires, and we want to bring their value up a little bit more. So now they're going to be exploding with stasis slow fields.
That's kind
and
of dope.
higher
That's
upgrades
dope.
will be creating stasis crystals for you to play off of if you have a stasis build, stasis weapon. And then I'm happy to share
that'd be a nice area to test out how strong your builds are,
in the original Onslaught as well.
Very nice. Okay, so all the updates that are happening to the defenses that are available in Onslaught Salvation will be available in the traditional Onslaught mode as well.
Just the tripwires,
Very exciting. Okay, nice. Good to see. While we're on the topic of stasis and obviously looking at our tools for destruction, Chris, I'd be remiss if I didn't try and bring up the new breach loading grenade launcher that our fire team here is getting a lot of use out of.
I was like, what
there's obviously a decent chunk of new weapons arriving with Revenant, but let's start here.
New weapons, guys. First
seasonal or the episodic exotic.
This would be the Season Pass exotic.
Yeah.
It's the Letherman.
Oh, it's an exotic.
Primary ammo grenade launcher.
Yeah.
So we've only had one primary ammo grenade launcher before, which is Fighting Lion.
Fighting Lion has competition
as well. Actually, it'll
that's right. Yeah.
make enemies volatile when it hits them. So like some serious.
I'm about to put hot sauce on this pizza.
But anyway,
I cannot wait.
So this is a bit different in that it's also a projectiles travel in a straight line. So like mountaintop.
Yeah.
Hits pretty hard. But the exotic part of it is that as you defeat enemies, you will gather these remnants, which will fill up the exotic bar, which you can see in the HUD when people aren't dead.
Yeah. It's the shade.
Yes. Oh, they're in expert.
No, that's true. Yeah, we should note for the Guardians at home, this is an expert mode, so they're taking the hard way, obviously.
Yeah. So when the bar reaches 50%, you can special reload, and your next shot will launch a special ammo brick for you and your allies to pick up.
Very nice.
And when you reach 100, you can special reload and launch heavy ammo. So this lets you really go in on a new type of support role, which is like ammo support, which we haven't really seen in the game.
Ammo support, bro? What?
I spend a lot of the time getting the Seeker and Finder mods on my helmet, but it seems like a nice additional way to go ahead and make sure that you're really feeding the fire.
That kind of sounds broken
of the heavy ammo burners like myself, who have been addicted to microcosm recently. So
potentially you could have one person in the fire team go all in on ammo generation, and the other folks.
Very Also, so Clayton, when it comes to the other stuff that's arriving with Onslaught Salvation, are there any things you're looking forward to? I know that we're obviously fighting the evolved Scorn, but are there any new bosses or anything people can look forward to?
Right. So the Fickrel Scorn are also going to be coming out with what we're calling the Revenant Baron.
Okay.
And that thing is scary, and you'll see it on Wave 6 here in a second when the players are instructed to go into like a Revenant nest and go and save the Elixir from being captured.
Yeah.
These Revenant Barons, they stalk the area, and when you kill them, they will create a Revenant totem which flies in a random direction, leaving a trail so you can kind of like stalk it, find it.
Yeah.
You have to kill it before it would respawn the Revenant Baron.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So there's some hide and seek gameplay there. And so we also have for the rewards side, starting on Wave 30, Set 3, players will have a small chance to get a fully masterwork double perked episodic weapon.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah, and on Expert, like we're playing, if you remember, the bonus chest on harder difficulties will show up. So if you're playing on Expert, you have 2 chances.
Okay, all right. So really make sure you're pushing through those final levels. Try and hit that ceiling of level 50 so you can really facilitate the loot grind as much as you can.
100%.
Bravo.
Something we mentioned recently in one of our Dev Insight vlogs as well are Banes, which are going to be making an appearance here in Onslaught. Can you tell us a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, so we'll be, with the Expert mode only, we'll be having Banes throughout the activity, and we'll also be adding mods. So it's really nice to have them show up because they add another layer of replayability into Expert. You don't know if you're going to get the gaseous one where like, you got a dot on you, or you get a line of sight, but it adds a fun variability within the gameplay, so every wave feels different.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have... Oh, please.
I just wanted to point out here,
please.
you'll notice 2 things. First off, the fire team is tracking that Revenant Baron, just like you said.
Yeah.
And also freeing captured Elixir. And as to why people want to keep Elixir captives alive, I'll save that for the players to discover.
Sounds devious.
The other thing is that you'll see Crow chiming in a lot. He's features prominently in the season.
Right,
because he is inadvertently, of course, responsible for creating Fickrel, and so it's his responsibility as the new Hunter Vanguard to rectify his old problem.
Interesting. Even though he can't be like, hey man, that was Ultron, that wasn't me. He's going to step up and take responsibility for that.
Absolutely.
Well, it's Fickrel's fickle out there. Even to that same end too, we're going to be hanging out with Crow, with Ido, and with Mithrax. Obviously, the main kind of part of the story. They're going to be the ones that we're going to be hanging out with the most today, or
the god.
Some other Elixir, venerable old school Elixir that poke their heads in that you'll see some drama with. I won't say any more than that.
Drama.
It will be in everyone's interest to see Fickrel go down here.
Okay, got it. A little bit of enemy, my enemy. In this case, they're
back to the Beyond Light, or what?
That's right. Fair enough. Actually, really quickly, Clayton, I know we kind of touched on several different subjects here between the different defenses, different enemies, the different kind of, structural opportunities that Onslaught Salvation has provided you. What was it like, sitting down with a team and sort of looking at this new refresh on this activity? Like, did you guys take any big challenges for yourself where, like, we want to do this?
Yeah, we knew we just wanted to build and evolve and just do more.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
It's a metal episode. We want to do Onslaught. Let's metal it up, right? So things like the turret, things like the Revenant Baron, we really want to play into the themes of this, like, kind of haunting, spooky episode.
Yeah.
And you're seeing that in the roll dart. You're seeing that in the different defenses.
So this is kind of like a spooky episode, huh?
Yeah.
As well. Yeah. One thing I forgot to mention too is we are updating the moth yards from the original Onslaught.
Oh, really?
We've heard feedback from there. It's taking a little bit longer. We want to bring our goal is to bring that in line with the rest of the maps of the original Onslaught. So we're making some updates there to get that to go
very exciting. So reasons obviously to dive into all versions of Onslaught as we go ahead and move into Revenant.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Actually, and while we're here out here, slaying out
Midtown is the go-to map for Onslaught.
Chris, we're going to have obviously a slew of new episodic weapons arriving this time.
Yeah.
I know we've kind of spoken about this breach loading grenade launcher. Are there any other notable ones that you're most interested in, or most excited, rather, I should say, in bringing back?
Yeah, there are a few weapons that I'm going to personally be chasing rolls on. I'm particularly fond of the new double fire stasis grenade launcher.
Yes.
Only the third double fire in the game, and the other 2 are energy slot.
Yeah.
So I'll be able to run this in your kinetic slot. It's got the new perk Envious Arsenal, which is like directly targeted at damage rotations. So whenever you do damage with the other two weapons, the weapon reloads. So you can just cycle between your weapons, get it back. And it also has chill clip, which on a double fire is particularly cool.
That's like devious, honestly.
There's also some cool synergies with the new perks on some of the other
I need to search for some more God rolls, guys. Like God Roll Gary.
Which every time you shatter
God Roll
a stasis
Guapo Gary.
crystal or a frozen enemy will grant you Frost Armor. Which is the new verb we introduced recently. And that can also roll Headstone, which will generate...
Oh no, bro, it kind of seems like these guys are spinning right now.
There. Submachine gun.
Are they on the Zim or what?
Precision, and that's got the new perk... Shoot, what is the name of that?
Motherfuckers are on the Zim right now.
Anyway, it ties back into Jolt, right? Like the Vault Shot is great, but it requires a reload on your weapon.
All jokes aside.
This one's triggered on sustained damage. So you will jolt the target, and then the perk I'm going for in the other column is Loose Change, which every time you apply a debuff...
Here, if you guys want to see, this is what I'm doing right now.
So you'll be constantly having that loop cycle.
And also, so we're going to look at the new artifact here in a little bit once we go ahead and move through this final wave of what's in front of us right now. But there's also, it's been featured a little bit in some art about Destiny's 10th anniversary, an exotic of yesteryear, we'd say, for all the Guardians who have been sticking around for a while, rather. Icebreaker is returning.
Yeah, Icebreaker is coming back. It's something that we've been holding off on doing just because the ammo economy issues that are introduced in Destiny 1 are pretty dire. But we've got a version here which...
I cannot hear this guy.
We think lets you get back into that fantasy of just like always having uptime on the weapon without letting you just hang back and like clink away at enemies from range, which we never liked. So the way it works is assists and final blows with other weapons will just generate ammo for Icebreaker.
Got it.
It's got like a 10-round magazine, which is also the same size as reserves. So the play is that in between boss damage phases or something, you and your team slay out, and as long as you're getting assists or kills, you'll come back in fully loaded.
Got it.
And in Destiny 1, there wasn't actually any ice to break, right? So this time, we actually have a bunch of ice that you can break. I won't go into detail because we've got limited time. But
fair enough. Okay.
Ties deeply into
this stasis episode will certainly be giving people a lot of reasons to break the proverbial ice by the sounds of it. No, that's very exciting to check out. Now, while we're still here, let's go ahead and check out the new artifact that's going to be arriving. We love getting a chance to show all of you folks this early, so you can go ahead and start your build crafting. But Chris, I know obviously last time around, if I had to kind of paint it with a meta, I'd say rather it'd be very focused on sniper rifles, solar. If there was a similar theme for this particular artifact, what would it be?
So it goes very hard into stasis. Like touches all of the stasis verbs. If you want to make a stasis build, you can amplify it in a bunch of ways. We're also adding a bunch of grenade launcher perks. So we've got overload grenade launchers, which is great, like tagging those like super deadly overload champions. Also bringing back a variant of like everyone's favorite grenade launcher artifact perk, Breach and Clear.
Oh, yes.
So you can weaken enemies, and then when you boost it, you can get the second part of that old perk. We were saying earlier, you can boost artifact perks with the potion system.
That's right. Yeah, good. I also will admit I'm very selfishly excited to see Anti-Barrier Scout Rifle back. It's been so long.
Anti-Barrier.
I've missed it.
Barrier Scout is great.
I'm going to pretend like that's just for me, for my own benefit today.
We're trying something a bit different with this artifact as well. So the first column is all anti-champion mods, and the final column is all of the pinnacle ones, like the capstones for your artifact build.
Right, yeah.
But columns 2, 3, and 4 are roughly equivalent in power, which will let you mix and match them more freely instead of feeling like you have to like go for the top tier ones. They're all usable in build.
It's less of a linear escalation and more of just a mix and match in a lot of ways.
And guys, I'm making a Saint 14 build.
So there'll be plenty of opportunities for players to go ahead and amplify their builds, go ahead and really lean into one playstyle. If, again, you're like me and want to run double grenade launchers, this feels like a remarkably great season to be doing that, especially with the Fighting Lion buff. Thank you for sharing that with us. But I believe that actually wraps us up for this particular segment of Onslaught. But there's also a couple more things that I wanted to go ahead and tease for the arrival of Act 1. For starters, an old favorite strike is going to be making its return. The Inverted Spire is returning. But Clayton, it's not coming back exactly as people remember it, is it?
Nope. We're taking an approach and adjusting all the encounters, and you'll see more Vex than what you're used to.
True. I can confirm. My compatriot on the social media team, Mitch, showed me through it a little bit. The only thing I'll spoil is if you like death lasers, you're going to have a great time out there. And then in addition to that, there's one more thing we wanted to add in. Arriving with Act 2, mind you, of Revenant. And I'm going to read this to make sure I get it right. Inspired from a fan favorite activity from Destiny's past. We're going to go ahead and bring back an activity, but we're not going to tell you anything outside of that. So chat, speculate, let us know what you think. Go ahead and shout us out on Twitter or wherever it is you like to hang out online. With that, I think we're going ready to get ready, for the next segment. But in the meantime, gentlemen, thank you so much for taking the time to join us and share a little bit of what's arriving with Revenant. We appreciate your time so much today.
Thanks for having us. Pleasure. Thank you for having us.
It takes a lot to make me look good, so thank you guys for stepping up here and helping out. I appreciate it. Now, as we transition into our next stage, we've got what we've called in my notes the cool stuff segment, and I think it lives up to that. So we'll go ahead and show you a little bit more of what's to be arriving with Revenant, including what you're seeing here on your screen right now. This is the second earnable skimmer that's going to be arriving in Destiny 2. The aptly named, we'll wait for it to highlight, the Surfboard. I was so glad that was the name that stuck. As you can see, it features some very unique 9-style styling, inspired by Xur himself. Both top and bottom are very arted up. The top's obviously a little bit more visible here, but if you do a sweet front flip or back flip, if you're capable of it, you can go ahead and see all sides of it. Notably, this is going to be earnable. So if you go ahead and start saving up those strange coins now, it's going to cost you 97 of them. So if you're like me and spend your weekends spending all those extra strange coins at Xur to go ahead and get more rolls on your exotic class item, maybe save up for a week or two. Also, because I work here, I've started saving up already, spoiler alert. But the Surfboard will be available with the arrival of Revenant. So make sure and go ahead and grab the first earnable skimmer since the Guardian Games. In addition to that, we obviously have mentioned very recently that we're going to be having a new dungeon arriving with Revenant, and as a part of this, we're going to be doing a dungeon race in cooperation with our friends over at Twitch Rivals. We've put the sign-up link out there. It's available on our social media channels or in the TWID, or if you prefer your URL's phonetic, it's bung.ie/Twitch Rivals. You can go ahead and head out there, sign up with your fire team, and make sure that you're ready to go ahead and take on this new challenge, which will, again, also provide some additional chances for Bungie rewards. You can see here on screen, we've got a look at the hoodie that will be earnable along with the bracelet.
Bro,
but perhaps what's most interesting about the hoodie is that as a part of the dungeon race, if you're one of the top 3 teams to go ahead and cross that proverbial finish line, then we'll be able to ship out a special embroidered version with your gamer tag on it as well. So make sure and go ahead and dive on in and prepare to try and cross that finish line first. And now we're also going to take one quick look. Festival of the Lost is going to be arriving with Act 1 of Revenant as well, and if you all remember, you took a chance to vote on some armor sets for yourselves. So Hunters up first. You can see here we've got the Evil Wizard set. I myself am very looking forward to adding this to my collection. The Evil Gothic set is just going to only dial up more and more. Up next, our Friendly Neighborhood Warlocks. You've got this to look forward to, including what I think we affectionately refer to as probably the coolest pants we've all ever seen over here at Bungie. And breaking out from the crowd, the Good Wizards this time around. Titans, you went ahead and voted for it this way. You're going to have the chance to go ahead and add this into your arsenal as well. So make sure that you're prepared to go ahead and dive on into Festival of the Lost and grab this stuff once it's available. And I'm going to be doing that. So maybe I'm just projecting. But either way, make sure and get ready to go ahead and update your fashion where you can.
It's going to cost money, though. No.
We get to move on to our second segment of the show, where we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about what's further on down the road. So we've talked about what's just around the corner. Let's look forward to Frontiers. And here to help me discuss that topic today as well, are these two fine individuals to my left, which you've met at some point or another, but again, we'll make sure and introduce them to everyone out there in the crowd. We'll start with you first, Allison. Allison, how's it going?
It's going so good. I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed.
We're up so early. I'm doing well, thank you so much.
Good.
Allison, obviously narrative director here on Destiny at Bungie. Can you tell anyone who may not have seen you in a Vidoc or one of our past streams a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Sure. So I'm the narrative director for D2. It is me and my team's job to tell stories. It's our job to take care of our characters, of our arcs. We make you laugh. We make you cry. We make you have feelings that you normally don't have to have in your usual day-to-day life.
I was raised not to feel feelings, so it's a very upsetting experience when I do.
Feelings are distressing.
Oh,
I understand. We also get to plan future things, planning ahead for the arcs to come.
Yes.
And the saga to come.
I know, the whole new saga. We'll have a little bit to dive into as well today. I know, I'm so excited. And then also sitting next to her, Robbie Stevens, assistant game director here at Bungie, a man that I've not had a chance to interview but since back in my Mixer days. But if you've tuned into these Bungie streams in the past, you've seen him as well. Robbie, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Andy. And, I think you've grown a lot since those
Thank you. It's been so long, right? Yeah. My badge changed and everything. For the folks that may not know you or may not know what a game director does, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, so one of the main things I do as assistant game director for Destiny 2 is I work on the creative direction and vision for where we're going with Destiny coming up in the future with Codename Frontiers. So I get to work with our game director, Tyson Green, and Allison Lurs, our narrative director, and a bunch of our other creative leaders on how we shape the future of Destiny to come.
Very exciting, which we are going to be diving into now. I know we've obviously released some blogs about the Codename Frontiers stuff already. If you've been out on Bungie.net reading the Dev Insight blogs, there's been a good amount to dive into, but our friends over on the community team as well have been helping us kind of, read more into what the audience feedback has been and what the players are saying. And so we've had obviously some topics come up that I think we should just go ahead and dive on into.
Let's party.
Absolutely. Okay, that's the right attitude. Let's party at this early in the morning. Always the answer I want to hear. So, Robbie, we'll go ahead and start with you. One of the things we said is that these expansions are going to be medium-sized. Can you help us understand a little bit more about what that means?
Yeah, definitely. So, expansions are changing going forward with Codename Frontiers. And so, our philosophy behind this is moving from one really big, all-consuming tentpole moment that kind of takes all the oxygen in the room at one point in the year to two what we consider big tentpole moments happening in each year. And so those tentpole moments coming twice a year now are going to bring with them fresh content and new stories that are going to move the world of Destiny forward. And to answer your question directly, the way we're kind of looking at the size of these is similar to like Rise of Iron from Destiny 1. But this is happening like twice a year as compared to the past.
Yeah.
And so what's the reason we're talking about this, the rough shape of the box here that we're
Rise of Iron
is
was good.
that
I liked Rise of Iron.
What comes with it is like each expansion is going to have its own unique version of a campaign and post-game experience that you can dive really deep into beyond the initial playthrough, similar to how things like the Dreaming City or the Pale Heart from the Final Shape had worked, where beyond those initial campaign experiences, there's like further things to explore and secrets to uncover. And so making our expansions unique and deeply replayable is a big goal for us, in large part to support all the new gear and the new tiering of gear that we're putting into the game, right? And so it's one about, each of these expansions, again, they're going to tell a really compelling story as part of our next saga. But I really want to stress that they're also going to be unique experiences, unique campaigns and post games.
Yeah, I know that's something like, I've kind of overheard some of the conversations where when it comes to these expansions as well, obviously the corollary we're using today is Rise of Iron, but like these are going to be brand new experiences, things that we just haven't released before in the past.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that as well? Or
yeah, definitely. And so for Codename Apollo specifically, the first expansion coming up with Frontiers, you're going to journey to a Metroidvania-inspired destination, right? That's our guiding light for how we're creating this new location. Yeah. And so this new destination is going to feature a non-linear campaign that puts you in the driver's seat of exploring its world and its story. So this is very different from the past, where you're kind of following a very linear mission structure or line. That's very simple in many ways. And Allison actually recently talked a bunch about this in a blog post.
So when we made the decision to lean into that Metroidvania structure, we knew that the narrative structure had to match, had to complement that structure as well. And so the way that we're going to treat nonlinearity in Codename Apollo is when you arrive at our destination, which is a new destination, you'll be able to decide if you want to go to Region D or Region C, or maybe you want to go check out B, because that's going to be where you get the ability that allows you to access Region A so you you can talk to that character that you really like.
Yeah.
We really want that sense of the player being in the driver's seat, of being able to decide where and how they want to explore and discover the secrets that we have in the world.
Yeah.
And whichever of those different choices that you make doesn't negate the others. We want you to explore every crevice inside of the experience. And to help support that, we've structured our story in a complementary way.
Yeah.
So we'll have the normal kinds of like activity dialogue that you normally experience in a campaign, but there's also between 25 and 30 different threads of stories that you can discover and chain together after you complete an activity. There's so much richness to discover that we're creating.
You see that little thread of that shining rock somewhere, you can really just afford to pull on it and just dive in by the sound
Absolutely,
of it.
that's what we want you to do.
Okay, that's awesome. So actually, let's go ahead and stay on the topic of story here for just a second as well. You know, I think that there's been some conversations about the future of narrative Destiny, which has obviously been so central to the experience, so core to our characters and our stories. There's been some concern that maybe the new structure might not afford the opportunity for as much story in the past. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are planning and what that means?
That would be news to me if it suddenly vanished. I like what
Allison,
I do.
please stay.
Please don't let go. Yeah, exactly.
Is this how we find out?
No, story is destiny.
She's
Like what
like,
makes
I'm
Destiny
dipping.
Destiny is that beating heart of story at its core. That's not going anywhere. The thing that this new structure allows us comes in two parts for story. Like part one is pacing. With these 2 tentpole beats a year, the feeling that the world is changing and growing and moving is going to come much quicker now, which means that we can move the plot along at a much quicker pace than we used to.
Totally.
Part two is focus. Because these are much more focused releases, we don't have to worry about padding the sides with a bunch of extra stuff to kind of fill in the space. Like, nope, we are zeroing in on exactly what each of these releases is trying to communicate. And so that means we're going to tell a more focused story and with pacing that keeps up with what fans want.
I mean, it's also, too, it's interesting because, you know, obviously the narrative is one big part, the story you're telling, the words on the page, but another part of it, you know, given that we have the unique opportunity with a medium like video games, is how players interact with it. We've seen some comments online and some notable conversations about, you know, go talk to Vendor X, head over to the holodeck and say hello to this other person, go back to Vendor X and shake their hand one more time. Can you tell us a little bit about that structure, what you guys are planning on?
It drives us bonkers too. No, we believe that everything should be questioned, right? Like we should be questioning that structure and we should be reinvestigating it. And starting with Revenant and especially when we get to Apollo, we're going to be deliberately shaking it up. By the time we get to Apollo, that loop, that pattern is more or less gone. We're shaking things up a lot.
I mean, Allison spoke to it earlier, but all those threads that you're pulling on, right? Like these are characters out in the world that you're exploring and discovering, right, as part of your journey here. And so it's not you going to the same location where you expect to see someone delivering a piece of information to you between, you know, specific missions. It is like you exploring the world, finding these people, pulling on all these different threads in order to discover things within this weird and wonderful place.
The feedback is loud and clear. We want to keep the player out in the world, out and exploring, and get information to them for a change. So, we're listening.
And also, I mean, I will say, Allison, you didn't arrive empty-handed. You've got some cool concept art to share with us as well.
I brought some goodies.
Okay.
I brought some presents.
Thank you.
I brought some birthday presents.
Okay,
Happy
some
birthday.
concept
Happy
art.
birthday, everyone who's born on
Looking at
See what it's
concept
all
art is
about.
always a joy.
Exactly.
It's a good way to go about it. It's better than wrapping paper covering a PlayStation. I don't
It's
know.
true. It's true.
Let's go ahead and take a look. So this is, we've got up on screen kind of one of our first pieces of concept art from the future. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're looking at here?
No, I can't. On purpose. What I can tell you is that this is some concept art of our new destination, which, like I said, is a new place that we haven't been to before, which means that these people that you're seeing are people that we haven't met yet. We're going to learn a lot more about them, and I love this piece because the longer that you look at it, same with some of the other art that we've shared so far, the more you start to see things that are kind of familiar all the way out at this new location.
It's like
so lots of fun things to discover.
What's the symbol on that banner? Is this a seance or a wedding ceremony? Who knows?
I know,
right?
and I'm not telling.
Telling a single soul.
No.
Okay, all right. Plenty to dive into, including we've got another piece of concept art is here as well.
Something we talk about a lot, and like I think the last concept really like spoke to it is like when we're, especially when we're developing a new destination like this, like we really think about like what is a storied history that's happened here. What's something that players can like really sink their teeth into and dig deep into. And you know, going into this concept, something that I love about it that's really resonant with me with a lot of the early creative discussions we had on it is that we wanted this place to feel like an exotic world that is just tailor built around the joy of discovery, right? And then so within this new destination in Apollo, you're going to be discovering powerful abilities in order to uncover secrets in this location and in order to carve a path to the great mystery at the heart of the planet. And that's what, like, these concepts, you know, when I look at them in retrospective as the team is now actively, like, building a bunch of this stuff, it's very evocative for me from that feeling of like, hey, how can, it's something Tyson and Alice and I talk a lot about, is like, how can we get that like grand mystery in that game, that feeling that there's something right around the corner, that like is kind of at the heart, has been at the heart of Destiny for a long time. And as we've been closing down the Light Dark saga, it's been an amazing roller coaster ride, but we want to expand and grow Destiny, and we want to change it. And you know, that's what I think these concepts are starting to speak for us, show not just us telling of like some of that direction.
I mean, it's exciting to see, because I think one thing I've heard you guys talk about a lot as well is, you know, just the inspirations that you want to obviously provide the players. You build these new worlds, but you guys have been diving into a lot of crazy subject matter just on your own to get inspired as well. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of some of the fun reading or listening?
Somebody's calling me. Oh my God, guys.
That are just on your own to get inspired as well. Can you tell us a little bit about kind of some of the fun reading or listening you've been doing as you've been going through this?
Sure. One of the fun parts about being a creative is that you have to fill the tank with something. And
certainly.
So that means doing a lot of research, finding a lot of other targets in media, or even just like what music you're listening to while you're working on a script, right? I know for our team, something that really inspired us was music of the 1960s. We've listened to a lot of early prog, a lot of King Crimson, and a lot of
King
Doors,
Crimson,
and Jefferson Airplane.
King Crimson.
So there's a lot of Slaughterhouse
JoJo
Five,
reference.
Inside of this.
Cheery.
We love to look for inspiration outside of just games, because there's so much in the world that can fill that tank and get us inspired for what's coming next. And we also look to television, of course, too.
I mean, TV and movies is like, I talk about all the line. I mean, Allison, as the narrative director, much better at referencing text. I'm a little bit more of a visual guy.
Is that the nice way to say that?
It's kind.
Okay,
It's
cool. All right,
social media and TikTok have brought it us all.
They've just brought it me.
But yeah, like when we talk about like all this inspirational media, like one of the things, Destiny also being a sci-fi game that we talked a bunch about was for Apollo was Scavenger's Reign. That's something that Allison, remember an early concept, and we were talking about, and we're like, oh wow, that media, that TV show is so great because like it's familiar in some ways, but as you get closer and you really look at their world, it's really strange and different.
It's gonna change over time,
and it really kind of just builds this halo of allure around it that is something that really spoke to us when we're thinking about like how can we introduce.
Anyways, guys,
new
I'll let you guys watch the rest.
At the top of Frontiers.
That's exciting. All right, so there's obviously a lot of new inspirations. We had a chance to look at some concept art, but Allison, I got to put you on the spot just one last time. Do you have any other teasers for us or anything you can give us before we move on to the next subject?
I got a weird one.
Okay, even better.
Okay. So, imagine going to a mansion, like a really nice, really big, fancy house.
Okay,
and
not just in the tutorial to Tomb Raider.
No,
Okay,
like a nice.
Okay, thank you.
So you're going in and looking at like a parlor room or something, and maybe the owner of the house tells you there's a secret door somewhere in here, and you're looking around and you can see the door that you came through, and you can see the window, but it kind of looks like a dead end, like there's nothing in here. And everyone knows that a good secret door comes from like behind a bookcase. Like you go up to a bookcase and pull on a book or a little statue that's been in front of your face the whole time, but you just haven't had the focus on it yet. And if you pull on that, it opens up the secret door, and suddenly what was a dead end looks like an entryway. And that's what this saga is.
Okay, that's very exciting. And it won't be like Young Frankenstein where I get stuck in the door.
You will not get stuck in the door. No, I will not let anyone get stuck inside the door.
Or Matthew McConaughey behind the bookcase.
Somebody's getting stuck in the door. It ain't me.
Okay, all right. Thank you again, Allison, so much. There's obviously a lot of cool stuff to dive into, but we'll let you and yours keep crafting. But we've got also one more subject as well. Robbie, I'd love to bug you about one more thing.
Please.
If that's all right.
Yeah.
So we've seen some feedback on reward tiers and how there might not be enough variation in loot for players to go ahead and get encouraged to go ahead and keep chasing down more gear. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you're all building right now and kind of what that means to you?
Yeah, so this is like very valid feedback, just acknowledging that in the first place, because, you know, the first thing we announced was just like, hey, there's some new tiers, right? And then obviously, you're going to look at that and go like, well, I have a bunch of amazing armor and weapons now, so like why does this matter in the future? And so totally, that feedback makes a lot of sense to us. And so what's really top of mind and has been for us for a little while now is how we can make not only chasing gear within individual tiers interesting and the whole system interesting, but also how we can make those higher tiers of gear compelling to chase, right? To have that mountain to climb. And so that comes in two forms that I can talk a little bit about today. One, I can go a little more in depth on, which is our next generation armor. That's going to be coming with codename Frontiers. And then we have some really early thinking for weapons.
Okay.
And so for armor, let's start there. Is that okay, Andy?
That's perfect. If you wouldn't mind, Robbie.
Yeah, I would. Okay, happy to. So let me lean in here to focus a little bit. So for next generation armor, we really want to make armor valuable again. We want to make it easier to understand, and we really want it to have create new build crafting identities. That's something that's like really close to home for us right now because we've had a similar system for quite a while now. And so part of making it valuable, easy to understand, new identities is one of the big pieces is going to be a large stat rework to the armor pieces themselves. And so there's going to be fewer stats on each individual piece of armor. So it makes it way easier to quickly compare pieces of gear and be like, oh, this one's better than that one. I'm building into a specific, discipline, strength, whatever. And you can better understand that. That also means that there's going to be fewer things we call dump stats. Like you looking at a piece of gear and going like, oh man, it only gives me +5 resilience. I don't really want that.
Trash it.
Yeah, exactly. And there's still going to be cases where it's like, oh, it has a lot of resilience, but that's not what I'm building into. But it's just going to be way easier to just glance at stuff.
Very cool.
And figure it out. But beyond that, right, like how can we answer that question of how can next-gen armor have this new build crafting identity? It also, we want to bring new things to the table, right? And so part of the stat rework, we're going to go beyond 100, Andy.
We go beyond.
Beyond 100.
Beyond 100.
We've gone beyond light.
That's right.
Yep. Beyond dark. With prismatic.
What
this
else
makes
is
sense.
there?
Now we're going to go beyond 100 with armor. Who knew? Who knew that's where we're going?
It was just hidden in a lore book somewhere, I'm sure, right, Allison?
Yeah,
right?
sure.
Right? Okay. Right. Thank you. No one double check that.
Don't check our homework. So when we go, so what I mean by going beyond 100, so let's talk about strength, for instance. And so this is some early thinking from the team. So in the 1 to 100 range, it would still reduce your melee cooldown like it does today. It would still have that, so that would still be really easy to understand. But then from that 101 to 200 range, beyond 100, every point into strength at that point would then give you a chance in order to activate a second melee when power melee becomes charged. So basically you get double melee. You get to double throw your shields or double throw your knives or throw whatever warlock space magic stuff they throw. I don't play warlock.
I'm a hunter. I get it.
I can't jump, sorry.
Withering blades. That's it.
But really the key thing to there, right, is that starts to create an identity for what you want to build craft into that's very different than just oh hey, I'm building in a melee, lower cooldown, that's cool. But that's now you can start build crafting into okay, I'm going to regularly, especially at the higher end, start to get double melee charges, right? And so the other thing we're considering right now is also renaming that stat from strength to melee so that it's just very specific when you look at the gear and kind of know what it's
cut right to that chase, right?
Another big thing that's coming with next generation armor to the game is set bonuses. And so this is something, I know, right? They're back.
So ready.
We've done some small versions of it in the past. Have been individual releases, but we're looking at this as a holistic new system that's coming with pretty much every piece of new legendary armor set that we create, starting with Frontiers.
Okay.
And so these set bonuses are going to come in the form of wearing 2 or 4 pieces of a 5-piece set. So that gives you flexibility in order to wear an exotic at any point. And then also allows you to mix and match different sets. So you can actually start looking at gear and go oh, I have tier 1, tier 2 of one set, tier 3 of other, and I actually want to mix match them together for different combinatorics, for different build crafting identities. I'm getting really deep into the weeds here, but the thing that's really exciting about this is that one of the perks the team is playing around with that these new set bonuses could give you could be one that's built all around Tex Mechanica style play, which is all about hip firing, right, and all about that yeehaw. And then the more you build into that, you're going to be buffing your Tex Mechanica weapons. And so that's just one example. But it's the whole space is just going to really expand and just become a lot easier to manage in your head.
So basically, we're just going to be
thanking all of you fine folks at home for joining us today.
That's it, guys.
We love getting a chance to put these streams
Hopefully
on and hang out with all of you
it.
in the community, and it doesn't mean anything unless you show up. So thank you for taking the time to join us today. As a reminder as well, there's a Twitch drop going on right now. That's a heads up. You can probably see it pinned in chat, but just to remind everyone at home that if you've earned the Twitch drop, I should say, rather, it will be arriving on your Guardian when Revenant launches on October 8th. So if you don't get it today, worry not. That's by design. It'll be arriving on October 8th, and you'll get to put put your shiny new emblem on.
October
and of course,
8th,
a huge thanks
get our
to
emblem.
our guests here, Robbie and Allison. Thank you so much for joining us
All right,
today.
guys, that's going to do it for the video.
And then the folks from our first segment as well, Chris, Clayton, and Jerome as well, Incredible. Thank you so much for taking them to join us. And of course, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the amazing folks doing the actual heavy lifting behind the scenes, Peyton, Ashley, and Justin. Thank you so much. Of course, Ashley, one of the folks that helped design a lot of the stuff we looked at today. So thank you all for taking the time to joining us from the throne world, as we call it here, back here in the studio. But yeah, a quick recap. We talked today a little bit about what's to arrive with Act 1 of Revenant, arriving just next week, next reset. It'll be arriving on October 8th. Make sure to go ahead and sign up for the Twitch Rivals Dungeon Race. It'll be shipping out on October 11th. And remember, if you're one of those top 3 teams to go ahead and make your way through, then you'll be able to get the cool embroidered hoodie as well. But there's going to be more information about that arriving on our socials. And then I think that's about it. I think I've concluded my notes here on my laptop.
That's it.
So again, thank you all for taking the time to join us. Make sure and follow us at Destiny the Game across the board on whatever social channel you like. Make sure and check out our Discord as well. We're making some updates out there in terms of the announcement channels. And keep an eye out for the TWID for all this great information. And lastly, but very not least, make sure and head out to Bungie.net after this stream concludes. Read that Next Gen Armor article. We're giving you guys lots of information. Is it fair? No, but we like you, so we're going to keep doing it anyway. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other, and we'll see you all Starside.
All right, see you Starside. So yeah, we're getting new armor, basically a whole new armor stat system. Revenant, we got a little bit of concept art, a couple images. It looks not Revenant, whatever that Destiny 2, the 2025 thing, guys. I don't know what it's called, but yeah. And the Revenant, we didn't really get to see not much on Revenant, but I'm pretty sure we're just going to be like going through like stuff we've already done. Hopefully we get some new stuff. The new dungeon will be coming on October 10th. But yeah, got the new Zerf board as well. But that's going to do it for the video. Have a good one. This is like my 5th time saying bye. Peace.